What is up, fish fam? Seth Cruz from Seth Aquariums here, bringing you a new video in my brand new series, WTF, What's That Fish? Where I talk to you about one species of fish in my fish room, their general care, life history, and some fun facts about them. So let's start here with my favorite fish, the molly. Okay guys, what we're looking at here is my 29-gallon molly tank. Mollies are a live-bearing fish, meaning that they give birth to fully developed live young instead of laying eggs that are later fertilized. And you can see here that most of the time the young fish are able to get along just fine with the parents as long as they have plenty of places to hide out when they're really small. Like most live bearers, mollies are actually a very hardy fish, but they do have some water conditions that they prefer, and keeping them in these conditions will result in the optimum quality in your fish. Mollies prefer hard water, usually between 7 and 8 pH. If your water is naturally more acidic, you can harden your water by adding calcium or crushed coral as a substrate. Mollies can tolerate a wide range of temperatures from about 70 degrees Fahrenheit to about 80 degrees Fahrenheit. However, I find that they do best from about 74 to 76 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, if you keep your mollies in warmer temperatures, because they are cold-blooded like all fish, that means that their metabolisms are going to be running at a faster rate, they're going to grow faster, they're going to eat more food, they're going to be more active. So you're going to have to do more water changes to stay up on your water quality. If you keep mollies a little bit cooler, they're going to grow a little bit slower, the metabolisms are going to be slower, and so you're not going to see as much production in fry or in growth. But you're not going to have to do as many water changes because they're not producing as much waste. So there is sort of a trade-off that you need to take under consideration when deciding what temperature to keep your mollies at. Now, I recommend that you keep mollies in groups of 3 with 1 male and 2 females. This is commonly called a trio in the hobby. And the reason why I recommend that is because males and their desire to mate with the females can sometimes be a little over boisterous. And so females can get exhausted if they're constantly being bombarded by males to breed. And so if you have more females than your males, the females will get a little bit of a break because everyone gets a little bit of male attention. That it's not really focused on one individual female, and so they all kind of can scoot away and get a break. So I think it's best to keep them in the trio ratio of 1 male to 2 females. Now, if you're a beginner and you're just starting to keep mollies and you just want to keep your first trio, I recommend a 20 long. Long tanks have a larger footprint than tall tanks, and so you're going to have more surface area, which is really going to be important for filtration. And in general, mollies prefer surface area over height over in their tanks. Now, if you're trying to put mollies into a community tank setup, they actually will do quite well in most community tanks. However, there are a couple things that we need to consider. The first is that mollies often get larger than a lot of the other community fish that are commonly sold in the hobby. And so we need to be careful with our mollies that we're putting them into setups where they're not going to be large enough to prey on other fish, and also that their sometimes aggression isn't going to be overwhelming to our other tank mates. I recommend keeping mollies, especially for beginners, with large tetras or danios. Now, if you're keeping mollies with tetras, keep in mind that tetras prefer softer water and mollies prefer the harder water. So keep your pH more towards about 7 so that both groups of fish can tolerate it. You're not going to want to put tetras in with mollies if you're keeping your pH at about 8. The tetras just aren't going to do well. So if you're going to do a community setup with a variety of fish that like different water hardnesses, I recommend trying to keep your pH more neutral towards about 7. Finally, if you're looking to keep mollies, you should keep in mind that they come in a variety of colors, sizes, fin shapes, and body shapes. So you need to make sure that the mollies that you're going to be keeping are going to work best in your aquarium setup. So I am going to show you the different varieties that exist in my tanks, but keep in mind that there are kind of more varieties out there, and there are new varieties being developed all the time. So there might be something out there that I'm not even aware of yet that might be perfect for you. So just kind of keep in mind when you're picking your mollies that there's a lot to choose from, and some are going to be more suited for your tank than others. Now, mollies will accept almost any type of food, but I think it's important when we feed our mollies to make sure that we're feeding them a variety of foods. I feed my mollies pellet foods with supplements of Repashy gel foods and the occasional frozen foods. Now, mollies will accept flake and pellet, which are the most common varieties of food, but just make sure that you mix that up by putting in the occasional frozen food or otherwise enrich their diet. Now, it's important to note that mollies do need vegetation in their diet in order for them to have proper digestion. So look at the contents of the foods that you're feeding and make sure that at least one of the foods you're feeding has a high veggie content. You'll see here that my foods, I feed a lot of Sarah Oniptabs, and they come in both a veggie and a protein-heavy variety. And so I make sure that the veggie variety gets mixed in every so often, about once or twice a week, so that my mollies are getting the proper vegetation in their diet. Another common question that comes up with live bears is how to tell the difference between males and females. And it's actually pretty easy once you know what you're looking for. Males are generally going to have slimmer or slighter bodies, and when they mature, the shape of their head to their back is going to be dish-shaped, creating sort of a hump effect. But the easiest way to tell the difference between males and females is by looking at their anal fin. In males, it's going to be a small stick-like appendage called a gonopodium. To contrast, female fish have a more triangular or regular-looking anal fin, which does not look like a gonopodium. Additionally, females are generally going to be larger-bodied or more fuller-bodied and have more of a circular shape. Now, if you keep males and females together, you're going to end up with pregnant females. You can tell females are pregnant by looking at their body shape. If they're pregnant, they're going to be more oval or round, with a more distended stomach than their usual body shape. When they're really close to delivering their babies, their stomach is going to square off, which means that instead of being kind of a round shape, it'll start to have some sharp angles or corners around the edges. When females are ready to give birth, they'll usually hang out near the top of the tank or in some sort of cover and give birth to their live babies. It takes about 4 weeks from the time that a female is inseminated for her to be ready to give birth to her fry. Finally, I want to show you guys some of the different color variations in the mollies that I have in my fish room. This is a female salt and pepper molly. They're really just kind of gray with white and black markings, and there's nothing really in particular special about them, but I do like how they look. This is a male salt and pepper molly, which is actually almost a black molly. He's got a black base with a little bit of speckling here and there and an orange stripe in his tail. Now here's where things get a little more interesting. This is my male sailfin silver lyre-tail molly. He's a lyre-tail because if you look at his tail, you can see that 2 of his fin rays are extended. And he's a sailfin because his top fin can be raised upright to look like a sail. Overall, he's my largest and kind of most showy molly, and I find him really interesting, and I really enjoy having him around. So the last variation of mollies that I have in my fish room are these lyre-tail gold dust mollies. They're called gold dust because, as you can see, there's a gold and black pattern that they have, and they're lyre-tails because just like the sailfin molly, if you look at their tail, you can see the extended tail fin rays. I have all females, and I really enjoy them, and I look forward to seeing how they cross into the salt and pepper mollies. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this video. If you're new to fish keeping, I hope you found this video helpful. And if you're new to mollies, I hope this video convinced you that you definitely need to get some in your tanks because they are super fun, super awesome fish. So anyways guys, till next time, this is Seth from Seth's Aquariums. Hope your tanks are doing well, and I'll see you next time.